an amazing journey this has been. I am so glad we get to spend this time learning about God again this week. Did you live with mighty faith this past week, turning to God to ask Him for help for all the tough things that took place? Well, guess what? We've only got 2 more weeks left in this journey of courageous faith, and we have learned so much already. I know God has amazing things in store for all of us. But guess what? We have to get comfortable again. Go get on those comfy jammas and your comfy slippers, and we are gonna talk to God. Ready? Bow your heads. God, thank you for guiding us on this journey to courageous faith. We know we don't have to walk it alone and can turn to you when things get tough. Help us to be open to hear what you have for us today. Amen.
I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die.
What's the matter?
You know how I've been sick?
Yeah?
Well, I went to the doctor's office today, and she told me what was wrong. She even gave me a prescription.
So what's the matter? Why are you so afraid?
Well, the prescription is I have to take this injection. I have to give myself this injection for every single day for 5 weeks. And I don't do injections.
So?
I just don't. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna die.
You know you're making a big deal out of this.
I am, but I don't do injections.
So have you thought about asking God for help?
Asking God?
Yeah. Do you know that in the Bible, Moses had to ask God for help?
He did? Tell me.
There was once a wicked and evil Pharaoh who was the king of Egypt. He kept the Hebrew people in Egypt and made them work as slaves. The Hebrew people wanted to be free to go to the land that God had chosen for them, the Promised Land, but they could not do it on their own. They needed a leader to guide them. God chose Moses as their leader and worked miracles through him because he had great faith and trusted God. After a long time, Moses was able to convince Pharaoh to let the people go and leave Egypt. Pharaoh soon regretted his decision because who would work for him now? He quickly sent his army after them, thousands of soldiers with their weapons, horses, and chariots. But of course, God knew this would happen, and he planned ahead. He did not lead the Israelites along the main road, even though that was the shortest route to the Promised Land. Instead, he led them in a roundabout way through the wilderness toward the Red Sea. God went ahead of them and guided them. When they reached the Red Sea, the Israelites looked up and saw the Egyptian soldiers quickly approaching, and they were afraid. They cried out to God. They were so afraid. Moses responded, "Don't be afraid. Just stand still and watch the Lord rescue you today. The Lord will fight for you. Just stay calm." Then Moses raised his staff over the water, and the water parted. Quickly, the Israelites walked through the middle of the sea on dry ground, with walls of water on each side. The Egyptians were still chasing after them in the middle of the sea. Once all the Israelites had safely reached the other side, Moses raised his hand over the sea, and the water rushed back into its usual place. The Egyptians tried to escape, but God swept them into the sea. When the Israelites saw what God had done for them, they were awestruck. That day, they put their faith in God and his servant, Moses.
Wow, those must have been some really scary times for Moses and the children of Israel, but they crossed the Red Sea because they knew that God was in control.
Yeah, they were brave.
Wow, maybe I can be brave and face my fears and just ask God to help me take this injection. I'm gonna try. Let's see. That wasn't so bad.
Kind of helps when we ask God for help, huh?
It does. You know, when we know that God is in control, He won't let anything bad happen to us.
Yeah, when we're brave and we let go of the fear and let God be in control.
That's awesome. High five. What a scary situation Moses was facing. Let's picture that for a moment. The Israelites had just been freed from being slaves in Egypt for over 400 years. That means they didn't know what it looked like to be free and didn't know any Israelites who had ever been freed. They didn't know anything but being a slave. Leaving everything they had ever known would have been scary enough. They would have had to learn how to take care of themselves, gather their own food, find their own homes, and many more things they didn't have to do when they were slaves. But God had a bigger plan for them. They believed and had faith enough to leave. When the Egyptian army started to chase after them, they were very afraid and called out to God for help. They were still scared and wanted to give up. But Moses had courageous faith. Not only did he believe God had a great plan to rescue the Israelites from slavery, he had the faith to face Pharaoh to get them free. He imagined God rescuing them and had the mighty faith to go to God even when things got tough. He was brave enough to stand up against anything that came against him with God's help. When everyone else was ready to give up, Moses knew God's plan would not fail, no matter how bad things looked. Just like Daniel, Moses faced his fears and helped his people stand strong, listen, and obey God. Because of that, the Israelites were saved that day when God came and split the waters for the very first time. When we have courageous faith, we can face our fears because we know God is in control.
To be brave means to stand strong even when things look scary. We all feel afraid sometimes, but when we are brave, we don't let the fear stop us. Instead, our faith gives us the strength to stand strong in the face of danger. What does the Bible say about the word mighty? Joshua chapter 1 verse 9 tells us, "Remember that I commanded you to be strong and brave, so don't be afraid. The Lord your God will be with you everywhere you go." Whenever God tells someone to be brave, He also says He is with them. We don't have to face our fear alone. God will always be with us no matter what. Joshua also tells us in chapter 1 verse 7, "Be strong and brave. Be sure to obey all the teachings my servant Moses gave you. If you follow them exactly, you will be successful in everything you do." When faced with scary moments, God is with us. We just need to be strong and listen to God for His guidance. When we live with courageous faith, we will face scary things, but God is with us through it all. If we believe and have the faith to take action, imagine what God can do and turn to God when things get hard. He will give us the strength to be brave. Let's talk to God right now about some of the fears we are facing. God, thank you for being with me even when I am afraid. I know you have great plans for my life, and I believe you are doing amazing things. As I step out in courageous faith and picture what you want to do through me, help me to come to you when things get hard and be brave even when it looks scary. I love you and thank you. Amen.